movie was about.
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens, capture.
Welcome, movie fans out there everywhere in the MCU universe. Good morning. Happy Saturday morning to everyone out there within the sound of my voice. It's your host, T-Will, and my guy, Mr. Jordan Burton. How you doing, Jordan? All well, brother?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Hey, man, I can't complain, and it wouldn't matter if I did. Today, we are discussing the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie. Wow. Went back and watched this on an MCU rewatch, and let me tell you something, man. Did not disappoint. Phenomenal movie. Super excited to get into this one. And hey, man, I just love it. It's great, and I can't wait to talk about it. But how you doing today, man? All well? What's going on with you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm wearing a Wilt Chamberlain jersey because most of the soundtrack of this movie is from the 60s and 70s. So I was like, let me pull out some sort of 60s, 70s jersey, and I figured I'd pull out my beloved Wilt Chamberlain jersey. I'm so glad that I own this.
I see what you did there, and I love it, brother. I think kind of one of the things we're talking about today is what did we miss the first time we saw this movie? Like, what are some of the things that we missed that we didn't catch the first time we saw this movie? And it was so great, man. Really enjoyed it. So, hey, man, without further ado, let's get into it. So this was released August 4th, 2014, way back 12 years ago. And the global box office was about 773 million worldwide, about 333.7 million in North America, and roughly 439.6 million internationally. So this is, again, a worldwide hit.
What's crazy is that they were able to accomplish this, and Guardians of the Galaxy going into this movie was the public had no idea who the heck these people were.
Very obscure.
So they went into this movie, and it was so great based off word of mouth that people were like, "Oh, I gotta go watch this movie." And I mean, I didn't. This is the only connected Marvel movie that I never saw in theaters. The first time I watched this movie, I was right before the second one came out in 2017. In 2017, April, May, the second one came out, and I went to Costa Rica in February, March-ish. And I saw it on an RV in Costa Rica as we're driving through Costa Rica to our next destination. And I was like, wow, this movie is a lot better than I thought. Because this just doesn't look like something I'd be into.
Right.
But you put it on and you just have a fun time every single time that you see this.
I think the best thing that James Gunn did, and if James Gunn were a coach in the NFL, to me, he'd be Mike Tomlin, because he's good with anything you throw at him. Dave Bautista, who is Drax the Destroyer, is not the strongest actor, but James Gunn does a great job of putting him in position to win, of giving him these lines that just kill, of giving him this personality that it's easy for Batista to manage. He really does a good job of this. And again, just pulling everybody together. He really made these characters relatable, right? Because to your point, this is a cosmic team. As a matter of fact, this is the first venture into the cosmic. Like we go to the mythic realm with Thor, but this is the first cosmic outer space team that we see. And for a lot of us, we didn't even know who they were. So this could have gone wrong in so many different ways, but James Gunn does a great job of making each character relatable, right? And let's talk about these characters. You got Starlord, you got Gamora, you got Groot, you got Drax the Destroyer, and you got everybody's favorite Rocket Raccoon. But their personalities are such that they're kind of isolationist. They don't really play well with others. And so to pull these guys together as a team is really a feat in and of itself, man. Just a great, great job by James Gunn. What I missed the first time was just how great he did at putting these characters together and really making them relatable. And I think we fall in love with Guardians of the Galaxy because of it. You know what I mean? But let's get to the first scene. So we meet Peter Quill at the hospital. His mom is dying. You know, I'm a sucker for that because I don't have my mom anymore. So right away, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Because it had been a while, Joe. I probably hadn't seen this first one in about 10 years, right? So it's like I'm watching this for the first time. So we see Peter Quill at the hospital. His mom is dying. He can't bear to say goodbye, and he runs outside. And in the scene, she says, "Touch my hand, Peter," and he doesn't. And he probably doesn't want to touch her because he feels like she's dying, or maybe he's scared. I don't know why he doesn't touch her, but he doesn't take her hand. And then she dies, and he's a little kid, and it's a block for him, and he's crushed. And he runs out, and Yondu's ship arrives and abducts him. And then we go to adult Peter Quill on Morag. But what I love about this scene is we see him listening to the Walkman. And for those of you young folks out there who don't know what a Walkman is, it was kind of like the iPod before the iPod, right? So there was a Walkman, and then there was a Discman, and then we got to the iPad. But the Walkman was kind of the first one where you took a little cassette tape. It was a cassette tape with a headset attached to it, and you listen to your Walkman. And I had plenty of those, man. I went through so many of those, dude.
Terry, I got bad news for you. The iPod is now outdated.
I know.
We went. I mean, MP3 players, iPods. I remember going to a carnival. I went to the boardwalk. And for my mom's birthday, I won, you know, the coin machines where you drop a quarter in and it slides the prizes and stuff.
Yeah.
On my mom's birthday, I won her a pink iPod Nano.
I feel old as hell.
And
wow.
I was really good at those. And to this day, if you ever see me at the boardwalk, I'm probably doing that machine right there because I'm really good at it.
Is this the boardwalk in Jersey?
Yes.
Okay.
And I like thinking about that now. I'm like, wow, that was so long ago. And there are now grown adults who have no idea what an iPod is.
Wow.
Just think about that. That all they know is like Apple Music / iTunes. And even then, I was at like 13 years old. I was able to like reprogram like Apple Music to where like I could download whatever song I wanted, and I can still do that. I can still do that for any phone, but I don't now. I'm lazy, so I end up spending like $12 a month. But yeah, now it's outdated. All of that is outdated. There's an 18-year-old or 16 or 18-year-old watching this saying like, "What's an iPod?"
Right. I'm not even gonna throw record at them because it would just blow their minds.
No. Oh, and one thing about this movie and the whole franchise, my mom is a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan.
Yep.
And like she loves Guardians more than the Avengers. I want to make that very clear. She loves all of the soundtracks. I have Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the holiday special, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 all on record for my mom. Now, I want to make this very clear. My mom's pretty young for like like most parents that are like of people my age. So she's 40, she'll be 45, or she is 45. And so people around her age didn't collect records that much. So even for her, that's old school, but she loves listening to records. So I'm like, all right, here's all of the Guardians movies. So, I mean, I don't think they're ever going to make a Guardians sequel again. I mean, they kind of left the door open at the end of the third movie, but it's kind of hard to do this without James Gunn.
Yeah.
You kind of like, this is one of those franchises that might need like a 15, 20 year break, and then bring someone who maybe was connected with James Gunn, maybe like learned a little bit from James Gunn, but otherwise, like, you would need like whole fresh take, new characters. I mean, by then Rocket will be gone. I mean, Groot feels like a character that could live forever.
Yeah.
But like, based off of that team that they presented at the end of the third movie, I think it would be hard. I don't even know if we're going to see them in Secret Wars or Doomsday. I think we should see them in one of those movies because they are a Marvel like team.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That would be difficult. Like, even Chris Pratt has talked about, like, he's been asked, like, are you going to be in Doomsday? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I can't really say whether I am or not. And I mean, I don't know whether any of the Guardians characters are going to be in that movie, because honestly, I don't think they need to be in Doomsday. Secret Wars is very different. I think at least one member of the original Guardians of the Galaxy should be in Secret Wars. At least one. But in my opinion, every character throughout Marvel history is on the table. If you want to see Howard the Duck in Secret Wars, you're probably going to see him. What a tangent. I just went from iPods to records to the boardwalk to a potential fourth movie. Yeah, welcome to my morning. Hi, I'm Jordan. This is Terry.
That's crazy, man. But no, I mean, dude. And back to Groot, man. I forgot how badass full-grown Groot is.
Yes.
Because full-grown Groot plays no games. Like, oh my, I forgot just what a badass he is. And it made the subsequent two, or the subsequent follow-up movies to that with Guardians 2 and 3 so much better, because we understand that Groot is growing and developing, right? And grow, and we get to see him grow up again. And just to see what he's going to become, it just made it so much better. Because I forgot how badass Groot was. Groot was badass, man.
Did you know? I mean, not a lot of people know this, that like the Groot we see in this movie knows up again. This is a completely different Groot from the movies and specials and stuff that would come after this. So the Groot we see in this movie dies. And the Groot we see in the future films and special is his son. That's what James Gunn at least has said. Right. Which I think it's cool, because like, which I mean, I didn't realize that until I think Infinity War. Like, when it comes to the Guardians, I have no knowledge of the comics from them. Nothing. Rocket is the only character from the comics that I have known of. Because I've seen him in other aspects, but I had no idea who Gamora was. I had no idea who Starlord was. I had no idea who Nebula or Groot or Drax. I had no idea who any of them were. So it was this movie was very different to go into, just from a general comic book fan, because I thought when this movie first came out, another reason I didn't want to see it was I thought they were just making these characters up. I was like, there's no way these came from the comics. No, they did come from the comics.
Yeah,
I was
they
just
did.
very blinded.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Well, and to your point, they weren't mainstream. You know what I mean?
Right.
But before the movie, they were kind of niche. You know what I mean? Like you had to really be a comic book nerd to know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. So,
Most
but
people knew the Inhumans more than the Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, Inhumans was more popular than Guardians of the Galaxy before 2013.
yeah, no, you're right. And then 2013 happened, and well, the rest is history. Because if you watch that Inhuman show, oh my god. Anyway,
Ugh.
do we
I
have
did.
do we have to watch?
No, we. Oh, I mean, all right. So this, I don't think so, but that could change with Doomsday Secret Wars. That it could.
What about Wanda's sequel? No, Doctor Strange.
See, and that's where it gets a little dicey because like it's the same actor but not the same character, and
Because he's
they
from a
make that
different.
they
Okay,
make that abundantly clear
I got you.
that
I
this
got you.
Black Bolt is from that
Totally
universe
different.
versus the Black Bolt we see in this. Has like everything's really different between the two Black Bolts, and they are from different universes. I actually just finished that.
I'm sorry.
That is that is the worst Marvel anything I've ever seen in my life.
I'm sorry. I truly am sorry that you just finished that.
Actually, no. I do have this above Madam Web. I think I gave it like a 1 out of 10. And Madam, I don't know what I think Madam Web I have like a star out of 10.
Okay.
But it was, I mean, every single episode, I'm like, the acting sucks. The acting sucks. What the finale was honestly a great direction, and that was the best episode. It was also the only episode I gave like a 2.5 star out of 10 or higher, which is, I mean, that's self-explanatory. That means I out of 4 people in a room, I would recommend it to one person, and that one person probably the weird one in the room.
Oh wow. I don't like you, so here you go. No, but and yeah. So back to this. We see Peter. He gets beamed up. He goes with Yondu, and then we see him as an adult. And in that first scene where he's on Morag trying to get the what we come to find out as the Power Stone. Just, I love the way they did it, man. He's got his Walkman on. He's listening to his music. I think is it "Come and Get Your Love"?
Yes,
Is that the one? "Come and Get Your Love." And the dance scene is coordinated perfectly because he's kicking these little space rats that hop out. You know, it just it was great. A large part of Guardians of the Galaxy is the music and how it accompanies just what's going on. And oh my God, Jordan, I fell in love with this movie again just watching that first scene. You know what I mean? Because there's a scene in the beginning where he's kicking the rats and he's kicking it to the music and he's doing a dance step, and I'm like, I forgot about all of this, right? So I just love that. But what we realize about Peter Quill is the music is the tie back to his mom. The music is the tie back to when she was still alive. And we will see later on in the movie that, you know what, he doesn't leave because he's got to go and get his Walkman. So that lets you know, I can't believe I just said Walkman, but that lets you know just how important music is to him. It's his link to his mom. It's his link because I guess she left at an early age and then he left Earth. And so the only thing he has from the entire experience is the music. So let's talk about that for a sec. Jordan, give me your thoughts on that.
The music in this movie is so great. This is the best soundtrack of a Marvel movie. It is better than the sequels, and it is far and above any other Marvel movie. I mean, you could argue it's probably the best soundtrack of all time. Now I'm not counting in like scores and stuff. I'm talking the actual soundtrack itself, like all the music they bring into this movie. Because I think the scores are they're solid. They're not the best things in the world, but I mean they're not very memorable like the Avengers. Everybody here is like 2 notes of the Avengers, and they're like, oh, the Avengers theme. But like Guardians, not as popular. But the soundtrack itself, I mean, now there are people who you play one song from this movie just out in public, and I bet you like 70 to 80% of the people will think of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dude, the end credit scene with I Want You Back. Oh God! That was great because he's dancing, and then Drax looks over and he stops.
That song's been in my head ever since I rewatched it because I love that song. I love Macy Will Michael. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man, this
great.
whole soundtrack, and it's not. They're popular songs. Some of them aren't even like even before this movie. They it's like time had almost forgotten how good some of the songs were. But like everybody knows "I Want You Back." If you played that song in front of a group of people, 90% of those people are probably going to know the song, and the other 10% are probably like under the age of 14.
Yeah.
And are like, I have no idea what this song is. But everybody knows. Everybody knows Jackson 5. So this soundtrack, especially starting out with "Come and Get Your Love." Oh my goodness. So every time I watch this movie, I never really want to watch this movie. Like, I don't find this movie very rewatchable for me.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just never want to watch this movie. But every time it's not bad. It's just every time I watch this movie, I have a fun time. I have more fun with this movie than I do almost every other movie in Marvel history. It's just, I don't know. I've tried to figure it out why. Maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe I don't relate to any of these characters. I don't relate to any of these characters. This movie in general is just like, I don't find a deeper connection with this movie necessarily. With really any of these characters. I just like, if you ask me who's my favorite Guardian of the Galaxy from this movie, I would have said Groot. But overall, I Rocket. Especially, I also love Bradley Cooper as an actor. It's crazy to me. Actually, Vin Diesel voices Groot. There are people who don't know that. There are a large group of people that have no idea Vin Diesel voices Groot.
Yep.
And I didn't know that until Infinity War, from behind the scenes stuff. And I'm like, you're joking, right? Vin Diesel does not play Groot. What? I was like, since when has he played Groot? And then it's like, ever since the first movie. Like the cast in this movie is incredible when you factor in, like, Josh Brolin plays Thanos. You got Zoe Saldana playing Gamora. You have Chris Pratt, who going into this. So listen to this. This is how Chris Pratt was. James Gunn was casting Starlord, and that was the most important role for Disney to figure out. And James Gunn wanted Chris Pratt, and Disney and some other people, I think even Kevin Feige was one of those people, strongly recommended not picking Chris Pratt for the role. Now, when they say they strongly recommend, you know that's a no. And so what did James Gunn do? He told Chris Pratt exactly what they said, because they felt Chris Pratt was too heavier to be playing that lead of Starlord. Now, at this time, he is in. I don't really watch Parks and Recreation. Chris Pratt was in that show. Right. And he had a beer belly. He drank a lot of beer. That's exactly what he said. And James Gunn told him, he's like, they don't want me to cast you because they feel like you're a little chunky. And that ended up being the motivation he needed to get back into shape, and he's fit in this movie. Good for him. Good for Chris Pratt. Ended up changing the trajectory of his career. because he was looked at as just this comedian joke in the show. And this movie pushed him into stardom, that he goes and does Jurassic World. He does all these other different movies on top of Guardians of the Galaxy. Now Chris Pratt's an A-list actor. And he's like, Chris Pratt could go and do whatever movie he would want for a short time there. But then Vin Diesel, who, I mean, we all know Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel voices Groot. Everybody loves Groot. Drax, Drax is played by Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista, yeah.
Now, I don't know much wrestling, and a lot of, I would say a good majority of comic book fans don't watch sports in general. So when it comes to wrestling, it's kind of like you're really narrowing like how many do both.
Right.
So I didn't know much about him, but now there is a large group of the world that knows Dave Bautista more as a Guardians of the Galaxy than a wrestler.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, you have, going into this, Bradley Cooper was one of the best actors in Hollywood, even before Guardians of the Galaxy, when he did Silver Linings Playbook. He's done so many other movies. I mean, Bradley Cooper.
Limitless.
Love Limitless. I even love the Limitless show. Bradley Cooper is the best actor of all of these people in this entire movie. And he goes and does Rocket. And James Gunn has said his favorite character is Rocket. And I'm going after this movie and the second movie, I'm like, why is Rocket his favorite? But then you get into the third one and you're like,
you understand.
You're crying because of what's going on, and you're like, I understand, man. I understand why you love Rocket so much. This cast is exceptional, and it's not even like the Avengers. In my opinion, this cast, when you're looking at it from a whole perspective going into the films, this cast is better than the Avengers. In hindsight, the Avengers is better. But going in this movie, people know Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec. Zoe Saldana at this point had already done Avatar. She's already been in a $1 billion movie. Vin Diesel has been a part of the Fast and Furious franchise. Bradley Cooper's one of the best actors in Hollywood. And Drax is literally a WWE star in Dave Bautista. Versus going into the Avengers, you have Chris Evans. Okay, he's done a couple good projects here and there. At one point he was the Human Torch. All right. Robert Downey Jr. is kind of he's on the upside from like what he was doing in his life. Chris Hemsworth's a nobody. Mark Ruffalo, he's been in niche projects here and there. Some people know. Scarlett Johansson's probably the biggest actor or actress of the original Avengers going into that film, because people knew her from a whole bunch of other movies, especially in like the mid-late 2000s. And then Jeremy Renner, again, niche actor that not many people knew about going into that film. So they needed to cast big for this movie, because if they didn't, this would have been a miss, because this was already a high-risk movie to make. And because of them making this such a high risk, it ended up being the best decision that Marvel has done since Disney acquired them.
Highest grossing movie of 2014. So definitely that backs your claim. Definitely. And in this scene in the first one where he's on Morak, this kind of has an Indiana Jones feel. You think? Kind of feels like, Temple of Doom, you know what I mean? That's the cool part of, you can see certain characters' influences in this movie. But I really dug it, man. But then he goes to Xandar, and everybody wants the orb on Xandar. So Quill tries to sell the orb to a broker, and he messes around. And why did he say Ronan? And he's like, you know what? That's okay. I don't want it. It's okay. You got it. No. I don't want this, because he knows Ronan is about that life. And he's like, Ronan is very angry with the people of Xandar. I don't want to piss him off. You're on your own, bud. And so Peter Quill's walking out or whatever, and then he gets ambushed by Gamora, which is kind of funny the way she comes up to him and she's like, "So what you got there?" And da 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 da, and then she kicks him all of a sudden. You know, in the crown jewels, a theme that would be throughout the Marvel movies that they were in. You know what I mean? They kept that thing going. Even to Endgame, which was, you know, it's kind of, you go back and you see these movies and you see their things that's gonna, you look at something and you're like, okay, they're gonna do that throughout their time in this universe, which I thought was kind of funny. But anyway, Rocket and Groot jump them both, and they're all arrested by the Nova Corps, and then they kind of end up going to jail. And it's funny because, you know, we see Rocket and we see Groot, and they're looking around, and Rocket's like, "Look at this guy. I mean, he just screams loser or whatever, and he's picking out these people." And then he sees Peter Quill, and he's like, 45 units. Groot, we're rich, you know. Let's talk about that scene, man. Give me your first impressions when you see each of them on Xandar. Give me your thoughts on that scene.
So, again, going into this movie for the first time, I had no idea who was like playing who in this movie. Like, I mean, they literally put this on the RV, and I just started watching it, and I was like, everybody kept saying, "Oh, what? Put on Guardians of the Galaxy," and I'm like, I don't know what this is. And I was like, holy crap, that's Bradley Cooper. That's Bradley Cooper talking. I'm like, I didn't know Bradley Cooper was in this movie. I'm a big Bradley Cooper fan. Bradley Cooper lives literally like a county over from me. Like, he lives like 20-30 minutes away from me. And I know people who run into him on a daily basis. Like, if I wanted to go run into Bradley Cooper, I probably would be able to. And so he's big in this like southeastern part of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, general South Jersey area. So when I was like, oh my God, Bradley Cooper is in this movie. I didn't know this. I should have watched this earlier. That was the moment where I'm like, I should have been watching this a few years earlier. But it's great because it shows what makes Rocket and Groot, their relationship, so great is that, like, we both see like an animal. We're related to an animal, and just we look at Rocket like we would like our dog or our cat or any sort of pet we have. But he has that like hardcore like straight sense of humor, and you just love it. And then Groot, all he can say is, "I am Groot," and we're like, anybody who watches for the first time after he says "I am Groot" like the third time, we're like, does he say anything else? And then we realize he can't. And but it makes that scene later on in this movie so impactful, because we're like, this dude can't say "I am."
We are Groot.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, that was, you know, that was great. That was great. As they're descending on Ronan's ship and they're about to crash, and he's protecting them so they're gonna die, and you know, Rocket looks at him and says, "But you're gonna die," and he's like, "We are Groot," and that gives me goosebumps just talking about it now, man. Anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Jordan.
No, you're right, and it's just Groot is such a it's like, we know he does stupid things in this movie, and that's why we're like, oh, this is funny, because like he clearly has an emotional conscience, but he still like eats the like leaf that's hanging off his shoulder and stuff like that when people are talking, and he goes and drinks water out of water fountains because he doesn't know any better. It's like he's like a big baby.
It wasn't a water, it was a public fountain. It wasn't even a water fountain. Yeah. And Rocket's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he's like, I am Groot." He was like, "Yes, you were. I just saw you." He was like, "I am Groot." And then when Rocket looks away, he's doing it again. It's little things like that made this movie so great, man. But anyway, go ahead.
No, it's the interactions between the two of them are so great, and you immediately know that Rocket and Groot have a close relationship when Rocket is answering Groot immediately, even though he says I am Groot. You're confused that like, okay, he's saying I am Groot, but like he must be saying words that Rocket can understand.
Right.
And we're like, okay, so they clearly know each other for a very long time, and we immediately feel that connection between the two of them. Of all the Guardians, obviously Rocket and Groot have known each
Right.
other the longest, and we immediately feel that sense of connection between the two of them, and that's what I love between the two of them. I love their. If Rocket and Groot, I think, didn't know each other for this long, I don't know how much I would have loved the Guardians of the Galaxy, because I love these two characters so much. That's like I've watched the I Am Groot like little short animated specials, and I just love seeing it because I love seeing Rocket and Groot. Like I could watch a whole series on just the two of them, because those two make the Guardians of the Galaxy for me.
They do. They really do. And I don't know how you do it without them. So agreed 100%. It's a perfect storm that them meeting on Xandar and trying to go after the orb, and they all end up. And, of course, Peter Quill is trying to get it for the money. Gamora is doing it because we find out that Thanos destroyed her planet, killed her parents in front of her, and she doesn't want to see that again. And so she's after redemption. And, Rocket's a very pride character, but he's after money initially. And Groot is just really following Rocket. You know what I mean? Like to your point, they're just, hey, that's my guy, man. So wherever you go, I go. You know what I mean? My buddy. But it's funny in the scene where they're in jail and they're walking through this prison on Xandar, and this I don't know, blue character. I don't think a big muscular character, but he hops out and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna enjoy you." And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Jordan. We see Groot get with this guy, and Groot plays no games, right? Groot grabs him by the nose, the branches on his fingers extend, and Rocket is like, "Let me say this so all of you can hear it. This is my bitch." And he literally used that word. He's like, "This is my bitch. And if you want to see him, you got to go through us." And then all of a sudden, the fingers on Groot's hand they extend clearly up into his nose cavity, into the brain, and dude just falls out. And he's like, "I'm glad we understand now." And they walk off, and I'm like, okay, Groot really is that dude, man. Mm-hmm. Groot, just the way that they go into character like that, you can tell they've been to prison before. Like they know what it is. They know how to conduct themselves. He even says, "Look, we've escaped from so many prisons. We'll get up out of here, no problem." But it's just funny the way that they just shift. And Gamora ends up walking with them, and it's totally funny. And of course, all the prisoners hate Gamora because they know Thanos and what he does. And it just gives us this weird dynamic. And then they all go to the showers, and we see Rocket. They all, come out in their dressing, and we see Rocket and the attachments that he has on his back. And we can see that, okay, this poor little guy, he's been through something, right? And Starlord sees it, and he's like, okay, there's a story there. But talk about your thoughts on that scene, man.
I mean, I thought it's so sad going back and watching this after you see the third movie.
Yes.
We're like, and in these two movies, the joke is that Rocket is a raccoon, but Rocket says he's like, "I'm not a raccoon," and people like joke around saying he's like a rodent, a trash panda. Right. The trash panda one's the one I'll always remember. That's the running joke throughout the first two movies. But like, no, after actually finding out that he is a raccoon. I was gonna say he is a rocket. He's a raccoon from Earth, just like Peter. Both of them are from Earth, and he was just experimented on. and it's just so sad. And I mean, when I remember watching this, and I didn't fully understand this scene because I didn't have any understanding of Rocket's backstory outside of these movies.
Right.
So, I probably until Infinity War, I knew Rocket's back. That was when I first started hearing about Rocket's backstory from like a comic perspective, and it's so sad because like so a lot of people say they don't like Volume 3 because of the animal abuse, and I honestly I won't like disagree with those people. I understand it, but in my opinion, that just makes the story deeper for me. That's why I relate to it. My one dog who passed away last summer, or not this past summer, the summer before, um, or yeah, the summer before, in 2024, he we had gotten him when he was a puppy. He was only like 9 months old, and his previous owner had like put him into fights. Now this is a Chihuahua, full bred Chihuahua, and they
Jesus.
put him in dog fights with like pit bulls.
Why?
And again, he's a puppy at this time. So when we
Did he go to jail? Did that guy go to jail? I hope he did.
he ended up dying by his own hand, we'll say.
Okay.
So my grandma's hairdresser wanted to find find a new home for like the dog, and she
Yeah.
reached out to my grandma, and this is my grandma on my dad's side, and my grandma ended up reaching out to my mom because she already had a few dogs and we had only one dog at the time. And we had him ever since. I mean, that was back in 2010, 2011 that we ended up getting him. So he ended up, I mean, he was 16 years old when he passed away. So,
Wow.
but I mean, from when we got him, he was just this like when I see Rocket like in these movies where he like snaps at people, but then as the movies go on, he like opens up as more like comforting and a caring person. It reminds me a lot of my dog, because that's how he was when we got him. He was very like wanted to be by himself. He ended up developing like eating disorder where we had to like pick up his food to take his food away because otherwise he would eat anything that's on the floor. He would literally eat anything that is on the floor. So if you put down 3 full like adult sized bags of dog food
He'd eat
on
it.
the floor, he'd probably eat it until he dies.
Okay.
That was because that's something he had to fend for himself when he was young, and that was just something he had to learn. So like, yeah, every time I see Rocket, I think about my dog, and like
Wow.
in general animal abuse. I mean, like, all right, the thing, anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge Michael Vick fan, but I also grew up with the Eagles era Michael Vick. That was when I was getting into football.
Right.
And I also believe in giving people second chances, and
Right.
where Vic has been at in life since he returned to the Eagles is now he's he's a huge advocate for animals and giving and animal shelters. He goes to animal shelters to help animals all the time, him and his family. And like, yeah, I believe in giving people second chances because of like Michael Vick. And yeah, everybody's like, how are you a Michael Vick fan and an animal lover? I'm like, that's a different Michael Vick than like I didn't grow up with Atlanta Michael Vick. I grew up with Philadelphia Michael Vick. That was a completely different person. He did his time and he learned his lesson. And so like when it comes to animal abuse, I understand why people don't like Guardians Volume 3 that much. I because of that. There are people that are repulsed by that movie because of that. I also see it as this is what happens. This happens a lot. It's experimenting on animals. This happens a lot. It happens to different animals across the entire world. And this is exactly what goes on. And I put Guardians Volume 3. I mean, a part of me sometimes I want to put that movie above this movie. And I can't wait for when we get to that. That's going to be an emotional movie for me. That's probably going to be one of the most emotional movies for me personally.
Yeah.
That and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. When we get to those two movies, that's depressing. Get get
Yeah.
get your tissues out for
It,
those two
it,
movies.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like Guardians Volume 3, I understand, and but I've related so much to the Rocket character from both Bradley Cooper playing the character and just the character himself. Like I love Rocket so much, and I love this movie. I love the volume. I love Volume 3. I love this whole group, and yeah, I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah, they really made me fall in love with them all over again, man. So they're in prison. They're talking about the prison break. You know, he's like, yeah, we got to do this, this, and this. And the last thing we need to do is to get this component from this piece. And that's the first thing Groot does is take that out. And all of a sudden the alarm goes off and things get kicked into gear. And the funny part about this is Rocket kind of has a sick sense of humor. So he tells Quill, yeah, see that guy with that leg? I need that leg. He doesn't need that leg. He just thinks it'd be funny to do, right?
I just watched Infinity War like a couple days ago, where he
Yeah.
asked Bucky, he's like, "How much for the arm?" Or he's
Right.
like, "How much for the gun?" And he's like, "Not for sale." And then he's like, "Okay, how much for the arm?"
And then he's like, I'll
He
get
keeps
that
doing
arm.
it. He keeps doing it
Yeah,
throughout
he's
all
doing
these
it, yeah.
movies. Like, I want that guy's leg or that guy's eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
He's sick and he's a little sick and twisted, but that was funny. But anyway, they all end up getting into this I guess I don't want to call it a container, but the main prison tower that ends up being a craft that they can operate or whatever. Just so what Rocket does is he basically disables the gravity everywhere but in the tower, and they take off and end up finding their ship and they leave. But what a creative way to get out of that situation, because I'm watching it like, how the hell are they going to get away? And yeah, man, it was kind of cool. The what do you call it? The drones that they had, they end up using the drones and attaching them to the bottom of the tower. And it's just and so it's a weapon basically, but it also is acts as basically these jets that allow this craft to fly and maneuver through the prison so that they can get to the ship. But man, just what an innovative way to escape. Like I really enjoyed that. And what it shows is right away, these guys are very good at handling chaos. I think this is one of the main things main themes of this theory, is that their lives are so chaotic that when it happens, they're used to it. Like they Gamora, Groot, Drax, all of them are able to manage and get through this thing. But one of the more important things that comes out of this is as Peter Quill is leaving, he's like, the guard, he took it. He took the Walkman. He took it. He was like, Gamora, you guys go ahead. And so they're all in the ship and they're like, well, I don't know why, but let's go ahead and leave. And they check the orb and the power stone is not in there. Oh, no. Wait, no, the orb's not in there. There's something else he put in there, but the orb's not in there. So he knew that they would leave him. So he keeps the orb. He goes back, knocks the guard out, gets his Walkman, and then we see him flying because he's got the mask on that allows him to fly in outer space, flying from the prison to the ship. And I think Drax says something like, that's really cool or something like that. And it was.
Behold.
Yeah.
And if you like pina coladas, it's
yeah.
When I
love that. I love that.
There's two types of people in this world. When they hear that song, they think about either Guardians of the Galaxy or they think about Grown Ups. I think about both movies. I love this song. It's so, some of the songs feel so random, but they get stuck in your head. And it's this movie's so visually stunning with like the space scenes and stuff like that.
Yes.
And to see him like coming out of the ship, out of this like jail prison like planet, and you see Drax say "Behold," and if you like pina coladas, it's fine. This scene just perfectly describes the whole movie, where between a great song, visually stunning, and then you got Drax who's just like behold, and it you think it's like the superhero moment, but he comes in and he's got the walk. He's like, were you able to? Why did you like go get? Why did you leave and stuff like that? Thinking it was something bigger, and he brings
Yeah.
out a Walkman,
So
and
he's an idiot.
Drax is like, you imbeciles.
Imbecile. He did. He said, "You're an imbecile." He absolutely said that, right? And what's funny is later we understand because Rocket's like, yeah, their race doesn't understand metaphors, so everything with them is literal. And he was like, so if you say certain things, it goes over his head, and he's like, nothing is over.
Nothing goes over my head. I have quick reflexes. I would catch it.
And he's also really tall. He's like 8 feet tall. He's like, nothing goes over. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. So they're on their way to nowhere, which is actually the head of an Eternal. It was the head of an Eternal, right?
Yeah. Yes, a decapitated head of an Eternal, and since this movie came out, people have wondered, okay, how did this Eternal's head get decapitated? What was so strong enough and big enough that was able to decapitate the head of an Eternal? Or not an Eternal, a Celestial. A
Celestial, yeah, you're right.
So
sorry about that.
That's been the big question.
Explain the difference between a Celestial and an Eternal.
So Eternals come from Celestials. So Celestials like send Eternals to different planets to like observe the people, and that way the population can grow, so that an Eternal body or a Celestial body can grow within the planet and be born. So basically, Celestials are like the overarching bad guy, and Eternals are like their servants. That's basically what that
so
is.
Think of it as Celestials, Galactus, Eternals, Silver Surfer. Think of it that way.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So Peter Quill's dad we will learn later, is a Celestial.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So just bear that in mind, because there's so much going on in this film that you missed the first time because you just didn't know. You didn't know what was, well, I mean, unless you were just super duper nerd, but there's so much going back, looking at this movie. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much we missed. Wow.
And there's stuff that we haven't even talked, like to this point in Marvel. If you're all caught up, there's stuff that this movie points at that you're like, well, we haven't even gotten to how that happened, like the Celestial head getting cut off. People are like, how did that happen? To this day, nobody knows. I mean, you could easily solve that in like Secret Wars or Doomsday, and with like a time travel plot or something. Yeah. But otherwise, we have no idea.
Well, I know that happened in a comic book. It's been a couple of comic books, but I can't recall. But they kind of borrowed that from that comic book line. But anyway, they go to nowhere, and it's kind of like the place they go to in The Running Man. Kind of same thing, same feel. They meet the Collector. The orb is revealed as an Infinity Stone. And, the Collector is very bad to his assistant. So he's like, the opening scene, we see him and she's cleaning glass, and he's like, is there something wrong? And he's played by Benicio del Toro, by the way. Great actor. But he said, is there something wrong with your elbows? And she's like, no. And he's like, well, you know what I did to the previous assistant? And we see the previous assistant, and she's locked up in some sort of containment device or whatever. But not a nice guy, at least to his assistants. Anyway, as he reveals that this is the Power Stone, his assistant walks up and she's like, I'm not going to take your treatment anymore. And she makes what we will call the last mistake of her life in touching this stone, and it destroys her completely. So the takeaway from this is if you are a regular human being, do not touch the Power Stone, which is why in Endgame, when Iron Man puts on the Infinity Gauntlet, he was gonna die. There's no doubt in my mind he was gonna die, because that was just the Power Stone, right? He put on the full Infinity Gauntlet. I'm surprised he didn't explode. So, but anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
All good. The takeaway from this scene is so important for the entire Marvel, like the Infinity Saga, because we get explained the Infinity Stones. To this point, the Infinity Stones had been like thrown around throughout up to this point, like during Phase 1 and a little bit in Phase 2 with like Thor: The Dark World. But there was never a time where we sat back and were like, okay, what are these things? And it's at this point we now have a full understanding of what the Infinity Stones are. And did you know that James Gunn is actually the person who came up with the backstory behind the Infinity Stones?
I did not know that.
In the movies. Now, obviously, he didn't come up with the Infinity Stones, but in the movies, he said Kevin Feige came up to him and said he wanted to mention that a red and blue items that we've seen in the past were Infinity Stones. That was all the instructions that Kevin Feige gave to James Gunn for developing the background of the stones. And James Gunn says he came up with the backstory in 3 minutes.
Damn.
He came up with the backstory of the Infinity Stones that we've all seen this entire time in 3 minutes to make this scene. And this scene is so crucial with setting up everything. And Kevin Feige wanted this scene in the movie, and because it was at this point that they were setting up the Infinity Gauntlet storyline with the Infinity War storyline. And because up to this point, there was no bigger picture for Marvel. Like, they weren't looking to get to Infinity War and Endgame to this point. But
I did not know that.
By setting this up, they knew what they were doing, and they wanted to get to Infinity War. And in fact, I mean, there was a short time where Thanos was going to be the villain of the second Avengers movie, and who was it? The guy who directed the first Avengers movie. Now I'm losing his name for some reason. He teased Thanos at the end of that movie, and the talk was that Thanos was going to be the villain of the second movie. But obviously, this is before this all came out,
right?
Then the idea was maybe let's hold off Thanos for later, and that's when Ultron ended up coming in. But this scene is just so integral when you go back and watch all of these movies and setting up what we would see in Infinity War and Endgame, and even Age of Ultron, because Age of Ultron explains these to Thor, who then explains them to the rest of the Avengers.
Right.
That, like, okay, there's these cosmic things, stones out here, and they are very important. This Mind Stone is very important, and we need to protect it. That's why it needs to go into Vision.
Yep.
And that's what ends up creating Vision. So they all, then the Avengers know, so that when Infinity War comes, it's like, okay, we know what the goals of the villain in the Infinity War. Now this whole movie is just a heist movie that Thanos is going to try and get all of these stones, and the Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy need to stop it.
Stop them, yeah.
So this is so important. This is, in my opinion, the most important scene in the entire Marvel cinematic universe.
100% agree with you. 100% could not agree with you more, because he lays out everything. And that was kind of one of the things that I totally missed the first time. Like, I'm like, whatever. But sitting back and I'm like, oh my God, he's laying it out there, right? He is laying it out there. And what's funny is Ronan has to be powerful because he took the Power Stone and turns into this badass dude, and he says to Thanos, "I'm coming for you, buddy." Which I kind of wish there was some sort of way we could see that, because I'd like to see that fight. You know what I mean? But you're saying, yeah, it's perfect the way that they did that. You know what I mean? And I totally missed that the first time because you don't know what you don't know, right? But he completely laid out the six stones and their intentions and what it was.
And he displayed the power of a celestial using one of them, just one of them.
Yes.
That was also scary. Like even Peter was like, I think I just peed a little. Like after
he did.
Yeah. I mean, but I love that part too because it displays the power of just one Infinity Stone. So the thought in your mind is like, what the heck would happen if you had all of them?
Yeah.
Again, it makes Infinity War that much bigger.
You know what's funny? I realized that I missed out on a lot because even though I watched a lot of these movies, I really didn't connect it because years go by. Mm-hmm. And you forget, sir, you know, especially you I mean, I'm 55 now, but you forget that. But a lot of times it's good if you're going to see these movies to go back and watch the previous ones so you can truly be in a mind to appreciate like exactly what they're doing. Because to your point, that's exactly what they laid out. And without this to me, this movie brings it brings the MCU together. It brings that whole 10-year trek together and makes it relevant, which you would never think you'd get from a movie about a band of space people that are trying to, you know, make their way in this world. So I just, that was great. And then I love the way you put that because that's 100% correct. And of course, Drax, drunk and upset or whatever, calls Ronan, and stuff gets real bad from there. Ronan shows up. They get the orb. And what's interesting is through the conflict, Gamora gets detached from her spacecraft or whatever, and she's in space and she's about to die. And Peter Quill, who's never really done anything for anybody, has been a, you know, I think we can call him a player. You know what I mean? I think we can call him
they set him up at the beginning of this movie with another girl that he has no idea that her name. So yeah, he's definitely a player.
I think we can call him a player. You know what I mean? And he leaves his craft and decides, you know what, I'm going to save Gamora, and gives her his mask. You know, basically just sits there until they're both rescued. But we learn later that he probably would have survived because he's half celestial, right? Which we learn later on in the film that's why it didn't destroy it when he held it, right? Yeah. But which was an awesome scene, by the way. Oh my god! Again, going back and looking at what they were doing now, with that final conflict with Ronan the Accuser. Oh my god! Phenomenal scene. And he sets it up with the dance up. That was great, man. And we'll talk to that, but that was great. Who was it in this movie that first brought up Footloose? God, who was it? Somebody brought it up. Somebody brought up the movie Footloose.
I think it was probably Peter.
Yeah, he was explaining to Gamora. Yeah, because he's trying to get her to dance, and she was like, you know, I don't dance. And he's like, well, you know, there's this hero, Kevin Bacon, which is kind of funny because Kevin Bacon is a theme throughout the MCU with the Guardians, which is why I think that was just great. I think that was really great the way that they did that. And I also love Footloose because, you know, I was 14 when it came out in 1984, and I still love it. Everybody cut Footloose. Okay, I said it. But anyway.
I never watched the original, but I watched the remake in theaters.
You have to watch the original, sir.
I like the remake a lot. So I have a good time every time I watch the remake.
You have to watch the original, sir. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. I know. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Okay. You're blaspheming right now, Jordan.
I love the remake. I love it. It's the same thing with Carrie, the Carrie movie. Oh,
yeah.
Carrie. love the remake so much. I watched the original, and I'm just like, I love the remake so much more.
Yeah, I think the one with Sissy Spacek, Sissy's a little more
Yeah,
kinder, gentler, docile version. Like with Sissy, it was happening to her.
yeah.
With the remix, with the follow up, oh no, she went into that bad boy like, oh, you gonna do this to me? All right, bet. Watch this. Like that's the like she liked it. That's the feel I got. Like, okay, you want to do this to me? Watch this. So
I also had a thing for Chloe Grace Moretz.
I
Yeah,
understand, man.
I had a
Understood.
thing for her. Yeah, yeah.
Understood.
For a short time there. Yeah. Mm.
Understood. So it's at this point when the collector's assistant does the thing with the power stone where they realize, you know what, guys, we can't let this get in the wrong hands because they see firsthand the damage that it can do. They're like, no, we can't let this get into the wrong hands. And of course, at that point, you know, Ronan the Accuser shows up and you know, takes it. But there's this conflict that he has with Drax. And I mean, he doesn't even have the power stone. But we see just how powerful Ronan the Accuser is because he's like he's little brothering Drax the Destroyer. And Drax is no punk, okay? Let's understand. Drax is like 8-9 feet tall, huge, muscular, okay? Can win most fights. But Ronan the Accuser I mean, it's almost like he's like, yeah, whatever, little brother. Just, you know, holding him by the head, just embarrassing him with how much of a match he is not, with just how much of a challenge this is not. And he's like, I don't even remember your family. He's kind of arrogant, which makes us hate him even more because I don't even remember your daughter and your wife. Just, I'm sure I did. You know what I mean? I've killed so many. But he's so arrogant, but he just dismisses him and throws him into this, I don't know, kind of fluid from the celestial, whatever. It was disgusting. But anyway, there's go ahead.
With this scene with Drax, like up to this point, we really didn't connect with Drax all that much. I mean, he just seemed like a stupid side character, but him explaining how Thanos killed his wife and child and daughter, then we started to really connect with him. And I mean, up to this point, we connected with every single character from an emotional perspective, of like why they're doing this. But we really didn't understand Drax. But then we realized, oh, that's why Drax is like that harsh towards Gamora.
Yes.
But we then learn even throughout this movie that Drax starts to understand Gamora even more.
Right. And I think really his stupidity is just grief. It's just grief in a different form. You know what I mean? Because I mean, his wife and his child's basically his world. You know, he doesn't really have a purpose anymore if you're not taking care of them. And so I get that, but it's like because of this, they all come together, right? They all come together and they realize, look, we can't let this orb come into the wrong hands. And Peter Quill says to them, guys, look, we're all losers, but together we can get together and do something. And I don't think he means losers in the sense of losers. I think he means losers in the sense that they've all lost something, right? Gamora lost her parents. Rocket went through, whatever he went through. We really don't know much about Groot's backstory. We know what Drax went through. We know what Peter Quill went through. And together, these five can make a formidable team. You know what I mean? But it's basically his rallying cry to get these guys together. And the funny thing is, Groot stands up. No, I think Drax is the first to stand up, and then Groot stands up, and then Gamora stands up, and then Rocket's like, all right, fine. I'm standing up, guys. We're all standing up. He's making fun of the dramatics of them standing up together. He's like, all right, guys, we're all standing up. I'm here. It's kind of funny, man. It's kind of funny. But
bunch of idiots just standing up. That's it.
Yeah. So then of course we have the scene where Ronan gets the Power Stone, and he's like, "Yeah, Thanos." You know what I mean? Because in the beginning, he takes Thanos. Okay, first and foremost, Ronan is very prideful, right? And Ronan's issue is that Xandar and Ronan's the Kree leader, right? Xandar and Kree have reached a peace treaty, and I believe his father and his grandfather died in the conflict with Xandar, and he just doesn't want to forgive because apparently they were slaughtered. He just doesn't want to forgive it, so it's personal for him. And so he even says, like, I don't give a damn about this treaty. My father and grandfather, they will be avenged. You will answer for it, right? That's why he has this hatred for them. And when we initially see Thanos, we see that Ronan has failed, and Thanos is like, "You fail me again, boy." And I think he calls him boy. "You fail me again, boy, and you will find out what this is about." And Ronan kind of takes that personal, right?
And Thanos. So this is the first time we're introduced to Thanos. Not to cut you off,
Right? No, you're fine. Go ahead.
This is the first time we're introduced to Thanos in a way that he's an actual character in the story and not just the end credit scene of the Avengers. And this like perfectly sets up his just perfection of dialogue in Infinity War and Endgame, where he's like, "If you fail me again, I will bathe the stallways in your blood." And I'm just like, "Oh,
damn.
What a line!" I was like, "Dang, that's insane of a line." But I love now, all right, Thanos has undergone like 3 different like real like artwork changes. Like the Thanos we see at the end of the first Avengers movie was more of the comic accurate look, even though it was like a quick like side glance. Then we see this movie, it's like, okay, not really and not that same style, but like we see like, okay, he's sort of comic accurate. He's in that little chair. In fact, I don't have very many Funko Pops. I think they're pretty cool. I have one of Thanos in a chair, the chair that's in this movie, because I think it's the coolest looking Funko Pop that I've ever seen. I also have one of Notorious B.I.G. with the record in it, which is really cool looking. But it's just and it's so cool because when after the end of that first time we see Thanos in this movie, we just see this evil smile with all his teeth, and it like sets up that every time we see Thanos up until Endgame, at the end of the first Avengers movie, in this movie, at the end of the first scene, and then at the end of Infinity War, he smiles. And it's like almost like yeah, I'm that guy. But then at the end game, he just like, because he as he's fading away, he's just like, it's not even a smile, it's more like content, like he's content that you like, yeah, I lost.
I tell you what, go ahead, my bad. No, what's interesting is we see in this movie why Ebony Maw was afraid to, because Ebony Maw says, I believe in Infinity War, I've never failed him before. He will not tolerate failure, right? But that's why in this scene, because in this scene where he says, "I will bathe the stars with your blood," you better believe if he says that to Ronan, he says that to anybody in his crew. Anybody in the Black Order, they already know failure is not tolerated. And you see that. And that's kind of what I missed the first time, because we don't see Thanos really get after his personal team. You get what I mean? We don't see, but it's understood from this that if he would say that to them, imagine what he says to the folk around him every day, right? And it's even more reinforced when he's talking to Loki, and Loki says, I have experience with this. He was like, you have failure. You can talk about failure. And Loki says, no, I have experience. But we see that failure is something in this movie that Thanos is really not patient with. Like, you're not going to get 3 chances with him. You might get 2. You might not. But this it's interesting in that the Thanos that we see in this film is a lot darker, a lot shrewder, a lot meaner, and we see the real Thanos than when we see Thanos in Infinity War and we see him in Endgame. He's a lot more reflective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's explaining why he's doing this, because his motivation is not just to kill everybody. It's because if we don't, the universe will starve.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? But it's just, you know, people can be both. You can be ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a killer, and you can still have an agenda that you're really trying to do the right thing in your head anyway. Go ahead. You look like you want to say something.
Something I wanted to point out, I should have been doing this since we reviewed the first Avengers movie. Keep in mind the Battle of New York and the Avengers. In Thor: The Dark World, when Jane goes to Asgard, and in this movie, as soon as Peter gets the Power Stone, those are all scenes that will be gone back to in Endgame. So, like, the Thanos we see in this movie is the Thanos at the end of Endgame. Age, experience, everything.
Yeah.
That power, like in Infinity War, he's more of like, it's almost like Buccaneers Tom Brady in Infinity War.
Right.
Like he's still gonna win. It doesn't matter. It's Tom Brady. It's Thanos.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
But he's at the end of his time. Like, he just wants to win, and then
he wants it to be over. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that ruthlessness in Endgame and in this movie, that's peak Tom Brady. Like, what we see in Endgame, that's peak Thanos. So there's this ruthlessness that he doesn't care, and he's willing to. That's why he says the line in Endgame that I don't remember the exact line, but he's like, I see that like eliminating half the population isn't going to work, and I'm just going to have to restart the whole universe.
Right.
And Captain America says they'll be born of blood, and Thanos says they never know it. And you're like, what? You're like, this guy's ruthless. I love this Thanos. This Thanos, to me, that's why I love Endgame. I guess it's not a spoiler, because I think I've said it so many times. I do have Endgame as my favorite movie ever.
Without a doubt.
So it's ahead of Infinity War inherently, but there's just this. It makes all of the fights in Endgame that much more impactful, because it's like Thanos doesn't just want to eliminate half the population.
He wants to kill everybody. Right.
He wants all y'all gone, and he wants to be the new god. Like that. Like, that's insane to me, and that's what makes the stakes so much higher, in my opinion, in Endgame than Infinity War.
Agreed, but I think at that point he sees, okay, even though I won, I still failed because we're here.
Yes.
Right. Even though I won and I did it, I still failed because we're here. So now I got to kill everybody. I don't. Even in his purpose, I think Thanos's motivation is truly to save the universe, but he's very arrogant. Understand, Thanos, this dude's incredibly arrogant. Okay, but good point there. So Guardians get together, they come together with the Ravengers, and what's his what's his name? I forgot his name. Dude, Yondu. We see Yondu in this conflict when they attack Ronan's ship. We see Yondu is no punk, sir. Yondu is no punk. So Yondu comes out, and there have to be at least, there's a ship, and there's at least 30 of Ronan's soldiers. And I don't know what the backstory is with that whistle and that device of death that he has, that needle. but he kills 20 people like that. Like, you know, for the purposes of the movie, you see it like go in and out, but in real time, it's like that. Like they're just dead, which is why at the end, when Yondu says, "Hey, give me the orb," we see why Peter's like, "Yeah, I really don't want to mess with this guy." You know what I mean? You don't realize how dangerous Yondu is. And the other great thing about it is, in this movie, I'm not going to say we hate Yondu, but we don't understand the relationship that is revealed in Guardians 2, where Yondu is really like a father to him. Now, he doesn't look at it that way because he doesn't know how ruthless his real dad is. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know how sinister his father is, and that Yondu was protecting him, but he doesn't know that. So there's so much more that we get to unwrap, and they do a masterful job of just giving us tidbits so that when we get into later iterations of it, we truly understand. I truly feel like Guardians is one of the best series. I feel like Guardians is better than Thor as a series.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I feel like Guardians is better than Thor as a series. So that's, you know, just.
I mean, an argument could be made that it is the best trilogy, but it's kind of hard to compare this trilogy to like Captain America because this is a group. Like when I compare trilogies, I compare like solo characters, and I never include Guardians of the Galaxy because it would be like throwing the Avengers into this mix.
Yeah,
like that's so unfair. It's fair, in my opinion. It's fair to compare the Guardians of the Galaxy to the Avengers, but I also think the Avengers is on a completely other level.
It is.
There's people out there that love Guardians more than the Avengers, and I understand that. I said, my mom loves the Guardians of the Galaxy more than the Avengers.
Yeah.
And so I understand that. And I think the average person who just will put on a film is going to sit down and watch Guardians of the Galaxy and have a fun time versus Avengers. It's more of like stakes, consequences, like every single movie. And I that's what I love about the first movie so much, the first Avengers film so much, is that I think it had enough stakes and consequences while also balancing the humor and fun tone in the mix, and that's why it was just a complete movie. Versus you go to Infinity War, Endgame, and Age of Ultron, it's like, all right, world is ending. That's how the rest of the Avengers movies go.
Yeah. No, you're right. Let's talk about this conflict, though. And I had forgotten about the Nova Corps. There were so many pieces to this movie that I just forgot about. I forgot the Nova Corps was in this. You got Prime Nova, you got the Nova Corps. I completely forgot that they were in this movie. And, you know, as they are the protectors of Xandar, their home planet. But what's interesting is that when I think it's Peter Quill that reaches out to his contact in the Nova Corps, and he warns Prime Nova. She says, "Well, do you think it's credible?" And he says, "Yeah." And it's funny. He says, "Well," I'm trying to think of the way he described. He said, "Yeah, I'm an asshole, but I'm not a 100%." And it was just funny the way he did it. And she goes, "Do you believe him?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't think he's 100%." That was funny. That was funny.
What's crazy about this movie is, like, even the side actors are really well-known actors.
Yeah.
Like, you got Glenn Close, who's in this. I personally know her from, I'm going to say this, and I might get laughed at by people of different generations, people younger than me and older than me, but I think about 101 Dalmatians when she plays Cruella de Vil. That's when I think of Glenn Close, that's who I think of. But
there's nothing wrong with that. I think of Fatal Attraction when I think of her. I think of Fatal Attraction. Yeah.
Then you have John C. Reilly from Step Brothers. Like, he had just got done Step Brothers. And Step Brothers is a cultural phenomenon to this very
day. It's hilarious. The drum scene is hilarious. Like, I quote that all the time. I won't quote it here. But
did you touch my drum set? No. I swear. it seems like someone touched my
I'm
drum
talking
set.
about when they get mad and he's like, I'm gonna put my on your drum set. And he's like, you will not, and he does it. Oh my god.
You swear on your mother's life. I can quote. This house is a prison. I can quote that whole movie, and it's a household quoting movie my whole life. Hey, where it's like anytime someone says something in my house that's like frustrating, we're always like, this house is a prison.
Bro, I'm gonna tell you something. I got two brothers. If one of my brothers did that, we're fighting. I would have did exactly what Will Ferrell like. Oh my! That was funny. That was so funny. Every time I that and wait, what's his name? The Ballad of Ballad of Rick and Bobby. Oh my god, these are my kids. Walker, Texas Ranger. Dinners for winners, Daddy. Dinners for winners. But anyway.
John C. Reilly is in this. Like that's and he's important to the plot too. And the thing is, what makes you care for John C. Reilly's character, because he's like, you see him at the beginning where he's like, hey, it's Star Prince. Like he clearly knows Starlord and Peter, and he's just like making fun of him and stuff. And just his lines of dialogue, he doesn't have much dialogue in this movie at all, but we also have like, I think, borrowed trust from him, from Ricky Bobby, and from Step Brothers, that once we see him, we're like, oh, we love this guy. Like, this guy's gonna be awesome. So up to this point, we're like, yeah, this guy's cool. And then of course Glenn Close, I think same thing with her, is that like there's that borrowed trust that we know, we're like, oh, that's Glenn Close. So when we see her, we're like, yeah, we like her. Also, when she curses at any points in this movie, we're like, it's so funny. It's like seeing your grandma curse. We're like, it's like, Grandma, why'd you say that? It's so fun. But yeah, this whole cast is fantastic, and I didn't even touch on the fact that this is Josh Brolin's first role as Thanos. Like,
I thought it was great. I because again, the one of the things that Marvel does really well is just the character arcs over the series of movies, right? Because when we see Natasha Romanoff in the beginning, she is femme fatale lady. She is coy. She is mysterious. She is sexy. And in Endgame, she's Mama Bear. Mm-hmm. Like, she's put down all of that stuff. She just cares about her family. Her old character arc in that movie is, what can I do to heal my family? What can I do? And she ends up giving her life because of it, right? But I think they do a masterful job of her character arc. And again, with Thanos, we see evil Thanos. We see ruthless Thanos. Like, this Thanos plays no games. And we see why, again, everything that he did to Nebula, that's cruel. That is like
Odin's worse.
Huh?
Odin's worse.
Oh God, we are not having this. So, guys, those of you who are new to this channel, Jordan and I have this thing where he feels like Odin was a worse father than Thanos, which I don't know how you can say that, because Odin didn't conduct experiments on his children. Just say it.
He did in prison one.
Oh my God!
And then the other he abducted and lied to him his whole life.
He didn't abduct. He rescued.
And then the other one, who's actually biologically his, is and his wife's, because he's got he's only got one child that's biologically him and his wife's, and that's Thor.
So
and he goes, kicks him to the curb.
Hela is from another marriage.
Hela is from Odin, but not from Thor's mom.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a different marriage.
He got another baby mama. Okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. Like Odin. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me ask you this question one more time for the cheap seats.
Did Odin conduct experiments? Like experiments? Did Odin torture his children? I don't think he did. Even when he had him locked up, I don't know that he tortured Loki. Loki had room service in his prison.
I mean, he had him
Loki,
fighting at such a young age that
man, whatever.
Whatever,
dude. What,
some would call that child abuse.
Oh my God, you would, bro. Okay, yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe we have a separate show on who was the worst dad. Maybe that's because I promise you, you're gonna lose. Okay, just saying. We should do this. You know what? We'll do this. Not right now.
Let me ask you this. How many times has Odin cried over his child? How many times is Thanos? Because Thanos cries.
Because he killed her. Because he killed her.
He cries multiple times.
Oh my God!
Before and after.
I'm not doing this.
I'm not saying Thanos is. I want to make this very clear. Thanos is not a good father. I want to make that very clear.
How many children does Odin kill? Let me ask you that. I'll wait.
I mean, I don't know because he's lived so many.
Oh my God! Don't do that. Don't do that.
He probably got more adopted kids. Oh, wait. He's also got another child. That what the heck is his name? There's because Loki has mentioned that in the Loki series something about another brother. And so it's possible he's got more siblings, but he's like he doesn't want to say it. And who knows what happened to them? It's possible Odin killed him.
Okay.
It's possible Odin sent him to prison, sent him anywhere, and or just cast him out like he did the Thor. And he doesn't care. Odin doesn't care. That's why I love it. His wife's great.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is my impersonation of Jordan. What is this? Oh, it's the world's tiniest violin. Oh, wow. Okay. Feel so bad for Odin there because,
I don't feel bad for Odin. Honestly, he's such a bad father.
Odin never killed his kids. That's all I'm saying.
He left them for dead multiple times. He left all of them for dead multiple times.
Whatever. He did not kill them. He did not take them to the realm of the soul. He didn't kill them, though. He didn't say, hey, I'm sorry, but my agenda is bigger than your life. So you know what? You got to go, sis.
And then when times get rough and Loki confronts him like an actual human being and wants to discuss this, that's when he's like, oh no, my heart. Now I have to go into an eternal sleep. I have to go into an eternal sleep. What is even? That's an excuse. Wake him up. Wake his old butt up. Stop it.
Okay.
Wake up, bro.
We gotta
stop hibernating.
We gotta come back. We'll have a separate show for this. Clearly, it needs to be had so I can show Jordan the error of his ways. Let's get back to the conflict. So, Prime Nova says, "Look, you cannot let this ship reach ground. You can't let them do that." And so they formed this alignment of ships that's around the Ronin's ship. And what's interesting is that when she gives them this command, they know they're going to die. And I think they do a really good job because you can see on their faces, they know they're going to die. But they do it anyway because they love God, country, and their planet, right? But I thought it was just a great scene. Great job of James Gunn conveying to the actor that, look, she's giving you a command and you know you're going to die. So we need to see that. And we see that on their faces. I just think that's great. And then, of course, they are destroyed by Ronan as he's got the Power Stone or whatever. And he reaches ground. And I got to be honest, I'm watching this again and I forgot what happened. And I'm like, they're dead. I'm like, oh my God, they're dead. And it makes it funny because Peter Quill just, you know what? He starts dancing and he's doing the dance off. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But I love the fact that no matter how serious it got, they didn't break the comedic tone. Like they were just committed to it. Because like I don't know of anybody else in that situation that's going to be like, you know what? Let's go. You ain't bad. You ain't nothing. They're not. Nobody's doing that, right? But I think it's great, and I think what Peter Quill is doing is he's stalling because he's trying to think of, oh shit, what can I do here, right?
The first time I saw that scene, I hated it. I like that scene. I like that scene like right now. Like
Right.
every time I watch it, I like it. The first time I was like, this is the dumbest way that this movie could possibly end. I was like, I felt like we were on a certain path. We were really going up, and then that happens, and I was like almost taken out of it. But when you go back and rewatch it, things change. You learn more about that, and I think it made sense for that moment, especially the buildup of the music and like Peter explaining like old references and stuff like that. Like that, it makes so much sense for the film and the characters themselves.
Yeah, it really does, man. But of course, he's distracting him, and then I forget who does what, but some sort of way Ronan is hit and he lets go. No. Somebody hit his hammer.
Rocket shot a rocket. He shot something at the hammer, which exploded, and the Infinity Stone
comes out of the hammer, and Peter Quill grabs it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Peter's dead, which is, again, one of the great things of the movie that we missed the first time. We don't know that Peter's dad is a Celestial, or at least not in this moment. We don't know. And so he grabs Gamora's hand. Gamora grabs Drax's hand, and Drax grabs Rocket's hand, and they all are able to carry the Power Stone and just destroy Ronan. But I thought that was great. You know, looking back at that now, at exactly what they did, that was great writing. That was good, because that's just the Power Stone, but it probably would take all of them to do that. Because if it's just Peter holding the Power Stone, after a while, he's going to die, right? Or at least half of him will die. I don't know. But either way, I really enjoyed that scene. Like that for me was the best part of the movie. It's my favorite scene. We all see them come together. And then when Ronan says, wait a minute, how is this possible? They send him to Kingdom Come. And I thought it was great. So give me your thoughts on what's going on in this scene, Jordan.
I mean, and to lead up to this, I do want to. I know we talked about this earlier, but the I am Groot, the We Are Groot scene. But like up to this point, Groot is probably the emotional anchor of the Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of like all the characters, because everybody starts to be like caring towards Groot, because it's like, okay, he's dumb, but we kind of got to help him out a little. And when Groot like sacrifices himself, and we see that, oh my God, we see the tears on Rocket's face when he's like, why are you doing this?
Wait. Back to your point, not to cut you off, but when Rocket says to Drax, so what, your family died? Groot looks at him like, whoa, hey man, too far. What are you doing?
He's like, boo-hoo, my wife and daughter.
Right.
And it comes out of nowhere too. So it comes off as like a comedic like line, and you're like, oh my God, it was a dark humor joke in that moment, and I didn't expect him to say that.
Right. But Groot is like, nah, man. That's we see. To me, Groot he's the morality of the group.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He's the spiritual leader of that group, because he's like, whoa, too far, bro. You know what I mean? But anyway, I mean to cut you off. Go ahead, brother.
No, and another reason why the first time I saw this movie, again, I just didn't like it as much as I did going forward. It's aged very well for me. But the first time I saw this, I was like, why did they have to kill Groot off? I was like,
Yeah.
this is stupid. But then you rewatch it and you're like, and you're okay with it.
Yeah.
You're like, this, it's okay. This is
Yeah.
meant to happen. This is meant to happen for all of the Guardians to then come together. It's the same way as Agent Coulson dying so that the
Yes.
Avengers can
Yeah.
come together.
Very good point. Very good point.
It's the same exact.
And,
It's necessary.
and not only that, but we see Rocket transition from buddy to dad.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because he really is like a dad to him. You know what I mean? It's like, you do that again, I'm taking that video game away. You know what I mean? And then in the one where he says something, it's like language. What's up with you? You know what I mean? Like he's going through the teenage phases. But again, you see the love between those two. Like when he dies, and for Rocket to Rocket is devastated because really to this point he is his only family. Knowing what we know about Rocket, knowing everything that he's been through, this guy is his only family, and he says why, and he says we are. Wow, man, wow.
And what's great is like for the rest, that's Groot saying that. So up to all the way to the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, we as an audience only understand Groot's saying, I am Groot. And the other time he differs from that is we are Groot. And think of it as like if you don't know a language, for example, well, and you hear someone saying the word like a certain phrase in that language, you don't understand it quite yet, but over the course of years you're like, okay, I understand what this person is saying. So every time they say it, you're like, they're saying this. So when in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, when he went at the end where he says I love you guys, James Gunn says that's the audience now understanding Groot's language and understanding Groot for the first time.
Yeah.
And we now going forward know what Groot is saying. And so the only time that differs, that he's not speaking that language and going outside of his language, is when he says we are Groot.
Yeah.
And so it just, this whole scene is so powerful. It's so well done in terms of like the flowers and stuff and the lights that Groot.
Yes.
It's a beautiful scene.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful.
And then getting to the final fight, I mean, seeing Groot die, it's so sad. But I've never really been the biggest fan of the excuse is that Peter was part like half celestial.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really liked that because I felt like it took away from everybody else in that. I felt like, oh, so really they didn't need to be there in that moment, and Peter could have done that by himself. I've never really, that if there's any part of this movie that never really sat right for me, it's them saying, oh, you're half celestial, or there's some sort of like part of you that's something other than Terran, which they explain as human. That part just never ever sat right with me. But because I felt like in that moment there could have been more of a not cosmic way of explaining why them doing that worked, but you could have just said like that was just a miracle. That and that could have been like that could have made the Guardians like on another level of like, oh, them together is something that's well beyond anything cosmic. It is almost like they were meant to be in that moment. But instead you draw to another area where it's just like, oh, Peter is actually part celestial. That's why that was able to happen. So what does that mean? Why Drax, Rocket, and Gamora were there? And I don't know. It just never ever sat right with me. That's just my thoughts.
No, I mean I can totally see your point. I think the way I took it was that I don't think he would have been able to do it without them. I think he's able to grab it and hold it, but we see before he touches Gamora's hand, he's about to explode. You get what I'm saying? Like we see. So he was able to start it, but I never took it like if they weren't there. Like I think if they weren't there, he dies. But you know, that's I see your point. I'm not saying I disagree with you. I see your point. But either way, man, phenomenal scene. You know, of course, hey man, Ronan the Accuser is destroyed. Everybody's happy. The Nova Corps repairs the ship for Peter Quill and the Guardians of the Galaxy, roll out and they go on another adventure. And then comes again my second favorite scene, and that's in the end where, you know, baby Groot is dancing to oh baby, give me one more is that it?
Want you back.
I want you back. Oh my god. Oh.
Ooh,
And it's so funny because he's like moving, and then Drax looks over and he stops. All right. And then Drax that was great.
Love that.
That was a little scene, but that was great. Even watching it last night, I was like, this is great. Like I'm sitting there and I'm dancing with them and I'm stopping with them. You know what I mean? As like it was just great, man. That was a great scene. That was well done. I tell you what was not great was why the hell was Howard the Duck, unless the creator died or something. Like I didn't understand why. That was so random. And it serves no purpose, or at least none that we know of yet. So
James Gunn was a fan of Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. Okay, that makes sense.
That's why he honestly, and you know, I've always thought this. I haven't watched Howard the Duck. I just bought it on DVD actually. I have it actually right here. So with Howard the Duck, I just bought this like 2 weekends ago. Because it is a Marvel movie, and because there's Marvel comics on it. Now, does Howard the Duck tie in with the Avengers at all, or Guardians of the Galaxy? No, it's more like with Kick-Ass. Like Kick-Ass is like something separate. But with the Avengers movies and all of the MCU, we realize that Howard the Duck is now a character in this universe.
Yeah.
But the big question I've always had is this the same Howard the Duck that's in that? Now, from what people assume on the internet, now this is the internet, so take that with a grain of salt. Everybody says no. But I have not heard any sort of official confirmation from any writers, directors, anything saying whether that is the same Howard the Duck from this movie or not. I would be very curious if it is. Now, I've never seen the movie, so I don't know how it ends or anything. I don't know what happens at all. I just know that there's very weird nudity or something in the movie with a duck. That's what I've heard. The internet loves this movie for its weirdness, but everybody seems to agree it's not a great film. But I'll still watch it. That's why I bought it. It's Marvel. I'll still watch it. And also, I feel like by watching this, I can fully understand like Howard the Duck's character in these movies and the What If series because he does show up. He is actually a very important character in one of the episodes of What If. But James Gunn liked Howard the Duck and wanted him in this and realized he was a Marvel character. So, I mean, he's a Marvel property, so he can use him whenever. And I mean, this was probably a random time, but yeah, you could use it. Also, we get introduced earlier in the movie with the Collector to I forget what the dog's name is. The dog from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It's the same dog that we see. I forget what her name is. What the heck is the dog's name in Guardians 3? It is Cosmo. So Cosmo we see earlier in this movie. That's the talking dog. She doesn't talk in this movie, but she comes back for the third movie. And everybody, when this movie came out, people were like, "Oh, Cosmo, another member of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the comics." And obviously that gets paid off. A lot of payoffs in this trilogy, but overall, yeah, great ending to this movie.
Definitely. Well, we're at the point to where we got to rate now, man. And wow, I tell you what, we went through some dark times before this, but two really good movies in a row, man. For me, wow. For me, I'm gonna end up giving this one a 9. So it's right between Spider-Man 2 and the first Iron Man. But I'm gonna give it a 9. I really wanted to give it a 9.5, but for some reason I just couldn't. I want to, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna give it a 9. I have no idea what you're gonna give this movie. I was thinking about that, and I'm not even gonna try and guess because I don't have a point of reference. So, if you will, Maestro, regale us with your decision. What do you give this movie, Jordan?
So, like I said, if there's one thing about this movie that I'm just I never want to rewatch this movie. I just don't find it very rewatchable until I'm like, I'll be in the middle watching it and be like, I really want like, I love this movie so much. I don't know why I don't rewatch it more, but it's just something that like I don't ever want to go back to. If I want to watch the Guardians of the Galaxy, I will watch them in Infinity War and Endgame because I'm like, yeah, they're very important to those storylines too. I just never want to go back and rewatch it. I have a fun time every single time I watch this. I think
Yeah.
this is a great story that ended up leading to the blueprint of a lot of films since then about just groups of losers that are working together. And honestly, it's now a stereotype in like that's the way James Gunn did the Suicide Squad, the second Suicide Squad movie. That's how it was the same format. It's and the way he does Peacemaker, very similar. And honestly, it's a James Gunn stereotype too. I think James Gunn needs to get out of it because part of what he does in Superman, he like dumbs down Superman too. Because I don't know how. I don't think he fully knows how to do these like genuinely powerful beings as superheroes like Superman.
Right.
I'm not saying his Superman was bad. I'm saying could have been better.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I get what you're
especially for a Superman movie.
right.
So, but I love this movie. This is a classic. This is, like I said, this kicked off a genre of like losers, and that we've had movies before this, literally called. There's a Marvel project called Losers. with
Losers,
Chris
right.
Evans.
Right.
And but in a very different light. Like all of these characters were left in the garbage. And
Wasn't Zoe Saldana in that one as well? I think she was.
I believe so. And Chris Evans was in that movie too.
Yeah.
But these characters were all left in the trash, left in the gutter, and nobody even. There are a large group of people that have not read the comics and went into this saying, "Who the heck are these people?" But they came out as big. Some are bigger fans than any other franchise. So I love this movie. I don't think it's I don't think it's the greatest movie I've ever seen, but I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10.
Oh wow.
I thoroughly believe this changed the landscape of comic book movies.
It did. It really did.
And movies in general, just in general, having movies that have similar formatting that you can just do a bunch of people that nobody likes getting together and you're like, yeah, I really want these people to succeed. And this is hard to accomplish. What James Gunn was able to do, I applaud James Gunn so much with this. Now, all right, I've been a big fan of James Gunn since he did Scooby-Doo. In fact, yesterday I was like, I really want to watch Scooby-Doo because I saw Matthew Lillard in something. I was like, yeah, I really want to just put on Scooby-Doo. But James Gunn, before this movie, was a known director. He wasn't a great director, but man, he nailed this.
He did.
This is such a great movie. Disney nailed this. This was the biggest risk that they ever took to this very day, and they nailed it. So 9.5 out of 10. That is, for me, I have 2 other 9.5 out of 10, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. Now, for me, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, that part of me wants to give those 10 out of 10s, but I don't. So I'm not like that with Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's more closer to a 9 out of 10. At one point, it was a 9 out of 10. But just upon rewatching it multiple times, I'm like, yeah, this is closer to 9.5. So it's below those 2 Spider-Man films. In fact, it's my second lowest 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, but yeah, I love this movie.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, man. As always, this was fun. And guess what? Next week we get to come back and talk about Guardians of the Galaxy too. So, it should be really fun. Last night, man, let me tell you something. Just on the rewatch of these, this was fun. This was more fun than work, right? Like some of them are more work than fun. This was definitely more fun than work. You always say, well, I just, I hate to be bored. There were no long periods where it was just like, it wasn't like that for me. It was,
especially when you go from Winter Soldier to this, but it makes both movies refreshing.
Yes.
Because they're both 2 very different style movies and both are still very good movies.
Yes. Agreed. 100%.
Especially after The Amazing Spider-Man 2, you're like, oh, trash heap. Perfection.
I wasn't gonna say that, but okay. I'm not gonna disagree with you. I'm not gonna disagree with you. So hey, man, look at we get fun for a while. We get Guardians next week, then we got Daredevil season 1, Jessica Jones season 2, then we got Avengers of Ultron, then we got Ant-Man. And although some people take issue with it, I actually like the first Ant-Man. I did. I like it. Then we got Daredevil season 2, Luke Cage season 1, Iron Fist season 1, and the Defender. So we got a lot of shows coming up.
Yeah.
That we got. So that's gonna be fun. Are we rating each episode? Is that what we're doing?
I'm rating each episode. You can rate the whole series as a whole. So what I do is I have a rating for every single episode. I used to have the whole series, but then I realized as I'm watching some of the shows, especially when I got to Daredevil season 3, that's when I came up with this idea of, because when I think of some series, sometimes I'll get to the end of a series and I have this like recency bias where I think about how the season ended, but then I'll also think about how the season began. And I don't think about like what happened in the middle or how some episodes might be so awful. So what I do is I have a rating for every episode, and it's the same rating system as I do with any movie. Like if I have something that's a 9 out of 10 episode on episode 1, I firmly will believe that's better than like an 8.5 out of 10 movie.
Yeah.
So and then I take each episode's rating and then average that out, and that's how I get the score of my seasons.
That's fair. I think we can do that. I mean, I won't have really any other movies that week, so we can do that, man. That's cool. So anyway, man, hey, tell these folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Ultegacy, Ultegacy. We post everything sports related. The Olympics are closing soon. NBA All-Star Weekend's over. We're going to be in the second half stretch of NBA season. NHL All-Star Weekend is going to be coming soon. MLB season is going to be coming up soon. And United Football League is going to be starting up in, actually, I don't know, a couple months maybe. But yeah, I mean, this is a busy stretch for me when it comes to sports. I just updated my top quarterbacks list of all time based off of what happened in the 2025 season. I'll end up posting those later on, but I've let people know close to me like what my ratings are or what my rankings are and stuff like that. In fact, one video that I wanted to do with you that we may or may not do, I don't know. Bleacher Report released their top 99 quarterbacks of all time. Very interesting list. Do I disagree with a lot of it? Yeah, but I appreciate a group of people getting together to put together a list that extensive. And especially with the whole history of the NFL, not just the Super Bowl era. So I really appreciate that. But Yeah, and when it comes to movies, you can always find me here every Saturday, recording videos with my guy here. And when you want to look at movie reviews or what I'm going to be watching, you follow me on Instagram and or Letterboxd. I have rankings for all my movies and shows. I just finished Inhumans, like I said before. That's awful. Don't recommend it. Um, don't ever watch Inhumans. I'm not going to suggest it. Madam Web is the only thing worse that I've ever seen. And I thoroughly hate that movie with a passion. But Inhumans is just not watchable. But you know what? I do have positive reviews when it comes to most things. It's just now I'm watching Marvel stuff that I've never seen before, and if I've never seen it, it's probably either really bad or just really old that I'm like, yeah, I can't, I haven't been able to watch it. But yeah, like I have to watch the Captain America movies with the bike helmet from the 70s. I got the Incredible Hulk series to watch now, which I had bought the whole Incredible Hulk DVD collection, and but I was missing 3 movies. I got 2 of the movies here. That is the Incredible Hulk Returns and the Trial of the Incredible Hulk, which Thor and Daredevil show up in this. And then I'm gonna have to figure out how to find the Death of the Incredible Hulk, which I guess spoiler alert for me. But yeah, this is fun. I always love doing this. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, when we do next week. It's funny. A lot of content creators that I watch videos on have strong opinions about Guardians Volume 2 that they don't like it. I've never put it on the pedestal of the first movie, but I also don't think it's a bad movie at all, and I just think it's an okay film.
I did not like it when I first saw it. I really have a strong opinion that's going to change because I did not understand the concept of Celestials. Mm-hmm. So putting together that this guy mates with the planet, it just made it weird for it. Just, like you lost me there, right? But now that I understand and have done, I don't want to say extensive research, but I've read up on Celestials and how they mate with planets. It's not really weird anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see. Okay, now that I know this, let's go back and let's look at this movie, and it probably will be a lot better for me. Is it better than the first one? No, I don't think anyone is. But I did not like this movie. The second one, I didn't like it. I didn't like that. That was like you made with the for real. Who did, like it was weird. You know what I mean?
When you said mating with the planet, I'm not going to say the lyric because there's a lot of curse words. But Lil Wayne has a line in "Drop the World."
Yes. Yes.
You know it. We're not going to say it. You know it.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah.
Go listen to "Drop the World" with Lil Wayne, and you'll be
my
like,
song.
Okay.
My son introduced me to that song, and he loved that. And I was like, yeah. So yeah.
I love that song.
You're right.
I listen to that probably every other day.
That's funny. That man. That's I. You know what? I didn't think about that, but you're right. That's funny. I want to say it now, but I'm not gonna say it really. But I really
we're not gonna say it.
But I really want to say it now but I'm not gonna do it. So anyway, drop the world on its bleeping head. That's not the line, by the way. But anyway, hey, you can find me at email at formyatlcontact@gmail.com. Look, if you see something on the show you like, let me know. If you see something you don't like, let me know. Either way, I'll respond. And look, if you're into ATL sports, which Jordan is not, because he's Philly, New Orleans, Philly, Chicago. He's all over the place, but he's got a bunch of teams. But when you get to know him, you'll understand why. I'm not going to criticize the man's choices, except for the Saints, ew. But outside of that, you know what I mean? He's my guy. We kind of have to take him. He's family. But anyway, For My ATL Sports 1, if you're into movies and TV series, For My ATL Movies 1, Facebook Gideon T. Will, Facebook T. Will Podcaster. Hey, man, to everybody who joined us today, thank you so much. I don't know if we're going to release it today, but when we do release it, when you do join us, thank you, because you could have been anywhere doing anything, and you chose to give us some of your time. So we appreciate that. We're thankful. We're grateful. We appreciate that. And yeah, man, you guys have an amazing day. To Mr. Jack Spade, Mr. Eric Parker, gave me my start in this business. Thank you guys. Thank God for waking me up. Thank God for sending me my guy here to the right of me. Good friend of mine. And yeah, we're going to continue to do this for as long as we can. So you guys have an amazing weekend. And good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens.